There is a seed oil that contains roughly twice the concentration of the fatty acid that makes high-end hair conditioners work. More than argan, more than jojoba, more than any oil sitting on a salon shelf right now. It grows in a single pot on a porch. One planting produces seeds for years, and at the end of this video, you will know how to grow an unlimited supply of the most effective natural hair conditioner ever measured in a pot on your porch for the rest of your life. Hi, I am Harry, and this is Garden Explained with Harry. Walk into any beauty supply store tonight, pick up a bottle of conditioner that costs more than $15. Turn it around, read the ingredients. Somewhere on that list you will find argan oil. The hair care industry treats argan oil like it was handed down from heaven. Magazine covers call it liquid gold. Stylists recommend it for damaged hair, dry scalp, frizzy ends, thinning strands. The global argan oil market is now worth over $2.5 billion. Every dollar flows back to a single source, one tree species, one narrow strip of southwestern Morocco. A region smaller than some American counties supplies the entire world. But here is what the marketing never explains. Argan oil does not condition hair through magic. It does not work because it comes from Morocco. It does not work because the bottle says organic or cold-pressed or salon grade. Argan oil conditions hair because of one specific fatty acid called linoleic acid. This compound penetrates the hair shaft. It reduces protein loss during washing. It smooths the outer cuticle layer. It holds moisture inside the strand. That is the entire mechanism. One fatty acid doing one job. And the industry built a $2.5 billion empire around it. Now ask the question that no conditioner brand wants you to ask. If the conditioning power comes from a single fatty acid, what other plants produce that same fatty acid? And why is none of them in your shower right now? There is a plant that produces roughly 70% linoleic acid in its seed oil. Argan produces 30 to 36%. That is nearly double. But this plant does something argan cannot do at all. It produces a second fatty acid called gamma-linolenic acid. Between 7 and 14% of the oil is GLA. Argan contains 0. This second compound reduces inflammation at the hair follicle, regulates the oil your scalp produces, and strengthens the hair strand from the root. No argan product on earth can replicate this. The plant that does both grows in a 12-inch pot. The record goes back thousands of years. Across eastern North America, indigenous nations used every part of this plant. The Ojibwe boiled the roots for food and brewed the leaves into poultices for bruises and swelling. The Cherokee harvested the seeds and extracted oil by hand for skin ailments that would not heal. This was not a fringe remedy used by a single village. Dozens of tribal nations across the Great Lakes, the Appalachian foothills, and the Mississippi watershed relied on this plant as a staple. The seeds were portable. The oil was stable. The plant grew without cultivation in meadows, riverbanks, and disturbed soil, wherever sunlight reached the ground. When European colonizers brought specimens back across the Atlantic in the early 1600s, German physicians examined the plant and immediately recognized its potency. They called it Nachtkerze, night candle. The flowers opened at dusk and glowed yellow through the darkness like small lanterns. But the name the physicians used most often was the king's cure-all. For the next 200 years, this plant sat in apothecaries across Germany, England, and France. Doctors prescribed it for skin conditions, scalp disorders, and wounds that would not close. It became one of the most commonly used botanical treatments in European medicine. Then the 20th century arrived. Synthetic compounds entered the pharmaceutical supply chain. Laboratory-produced alternatives replaced plant-based treatments across every category. By 1950, The plant that had been called the king's cure-all for 3 centuries had vanished from pharmacy shelves. Not because it stopped working, because something cheaper to manufacture and easier to patent took its place. The knowledge did not die. It was simply defunded. The plant is evening primrose, Winothera biennis. If you have ever driven past a highway median in June and seen tall stalks covered in bright yellow flowers that seem to glow at sunset, you have seen it. If you have ever walked through an empty lot in the American Midwest and noticed a rosette of long green leaves pressed flat against cracked dirt, you have stepped over it. Evening primrose grows wild across North America, Europe, and temperate Asia. It is listed as a common weed in most jurisdictions. The most powerful natural hair conditioning oil ever measured grows in the places nobody looks. The fatty acid numbers are not ambiguous. Evening primrose seed oil delivers 70 to 74% linoleic acid. Argan delivers 30 to 36. That gap is not marginal. It is a different category entirely. Then add the gamma-linolenic acid that evening primrose provides at 7 to 14%, a compound so rare in the plant kingdom that only 2 or 3 other species produce it in meaningful amounts. Borage is one. Blackcurrant is another. Argan is not on the list. What GLA does to hair is straightforward. It calms inflammation at the scalp. Irritated follicles produce thin, brittle strands that break easily. GLA reduces that irritation. It also regulates sebum, the natural oil your scalp produces. Too much sebum in hair looks greasy within hours. Too little, and the scalp flakes and the hair dries out. GLA helps normalize that balance. And when the oil penetrates the hair shaft itself, the combination of linoleic acid and GLA reduces protein loss during washing by a significant margin compared to mineral oil-based products. This is not a folk claim. This is what the fatty acid profile predicts and what laboratory analysis confirms. The cosmetics industry knows this. That is the part that should bother you. Major corporations hold patents referencing evening primrose oil and GLA for skin and hair applications. The internal research was conducted. The efficacy was documented. Laboratory teams inside some of the largest beauty companies in the world confirmed what the fatty acid profile already made obvious. Evening primrose oil conditions and strengthens hair. But look at what reached the consumer market. Evening primrose oil ended up in pharmaceutical supplement capsules. Small brown bottles in the vitamin aisle, marketed for eczema, for joint inflammation, for hormonal balance. Routed quietly into the medical channel where the market is smaller, the audience is niche, and the product does not threaten a $2.5 billion hair care empire. No major brand launched an evening primrose hair conditioner line. Not because the science was unclear, because the economics were too clear. Argan oil is the perfect commodity for a global beauty company. It comes from one country. Supply is naturally limited. Scarcity justifies a premium price. The branding writes itself. Exotic, rare, liquid gold. A $60 bottle of Moroccan argan conditioner sits on a shelf, and the packaging alone tells a story of faraway groves and ancient traditions. Evening primrose tells no such story. It grows in a ditch. It grows in a crack in a sidewalk. It grows in a 12-inch pot on a porch in Ohio. You cannot build a luxury narrative around something that thrives on neglect. You cannot charge $40 an ounce for an oil the customer can press from seeds growing behind their garage. The research funding follows the same pattern. Search any major medical database for argan oil and hair conditioning. You will find hundreds of funded studies. Now search evening primrose oil and hair conditioning. A handful, maybe a few dozen, mostly from East Asian and Eastern European institutions. The same disparity that appears between fish oil and perilla oil, between patented pharmaceuticals and backyard medicinals, repeats in every category where a free plant competes with a controlled product. Research follows funding. Funding follows patents. Evening primrose oil cannot be patented. It is a naturally occurring substance. A company can patent a specific formulation containing it, but no one can own the oil itself. No ownership means no monopoly. No monopoly means no marketing campaign. No marketing campaign means no shelf space at the drugstore. The plant disappears not through suppression, but through silence. And silence, it turns out, is cheaper than conspiracy and just as effective. Lay the comparison flat and look at it. Argan oil is imported from Morocco. Evening primrose grows in your yard. Argan contains 30 to 36% linoleic acid. Evening primrose contains 70 to 74%. Argan contains 0 GLA. Evening primrose contains up to 14%. Argan retails at $20 to $40 per ounce. Evening primrose can be cold pressed at home from seeds that cost nothing after the first season. Argan requires a Moroccan cooperative to hand crack nuts from a tree that takes 50 years to mature. Evening primrose requires a pot, some soil, and the willingness to ignore it. The industry chose argan. Not because it works better, because it costs more. Growing evening primrose in a container is simpler than growing tomatoes. Start with a pot at least 12 inches in diameter. Use a well-drained soil mix. Sandy is better. Rich compost is not what this plant wants. Evening primrose actually produces more seeds in poor soil. Fertile ground creates tall leafy plants with fewer flowers and fewer seed pods. The plant evolved in meadows and roadsides where the earth is thin and dry. Give it those conditions and it rewards you. Sow seeds directly on the soil surface. Press them lightly, but do not bury them. Evening primrose seeds need light to germinate. Water gently. In 7 to 14 days, you will see small green rosettes emerging. In the first year, the plant stays low. A flat circle of long, narrow leaves pressed close to the pot. It is building its root system. It is storing energy. It looks like it is doing nothing. It is preparing. In the second year, the plant sends up a flower stalk between 3 and 5 feet tall. The flowers open at dusk. Bright yellow petals unfurl in the cooling air and stay open through the night. By morning, they fade. New buds open the following evening. This continues for weeks through midsummer. The visual is unmistakable. A tall stalk studded with glowing yellow blooms that greet the darkness like lanterns. Pollinators arrive at dusk. Moths circle the flowers. The whole plant hums with life in the hours most gardens go quiet. After the flowers fade, seed pods form along the stalk. Hundreds of them. Each pod contains dozens of tiny seeds. When the pods turn brown and begin to split at the top, the harvest is ready. Bend the stalk over a paper bag and shake. The seeds fall like black sand. A single plant produces between 10,000 and 50,000 seeds per season. Allow some to scatter back into the pot or onto surrounding soil. Next spring, new rosettes appear without any action from you. The cycle becomes permanent. You buy seeds once, you never buy them again. To press the oil, dry the seeds thoroughly first. Spread them on a tray in a warm room for a week. Then, running tiny seeds through a home oil press takes some patience. But cold pressing preserves the delicate GLA. Cold pressing is critical. Heat destroys the GLA. Expect a yield around 20% oil by weight. While one plant yields a great trial batch, growing a small cluster of pots provides an ongoing harvest. Apply the oil directly to hair and scalp. No mixing required, no emulsifiers, no fragrance. Work it from the roots through the ends. Leave it for 30 minutes or overnight for deeper penetration. The linoleic acid enters the hair shaft and holds moisture inside the strand. The GLA calms the scalp and regulates oil production at the follicle. Wash it out with a gentle cleanser. What remains in the hair is a conditioning treatment that outperforms every argan-based product in the chemistry. Store the oil in a dark glass bottle in a cool place. It stays potent for 6 months to a year. The plant is still growing tonight. In highway medians outside of Columbus, Ohio, in empty lots behind strip malls in Raleigh, North Carolina, in cracked pavement along rail lines in Manchester, England, in meadows across Bavaria where German physicians once called it the king's cure all, still producing 70% linoleic acid, still producing GLA that argan will never contain, still scattering 50,000 seeds per plant into soil that never asked for them. A $3 seed packet at any garden center is all it takes. The beauty industry still sells you argan at $40 an ounce.